Hero dies and reincarnates 1,000 years in the future, where he's considered a legendary god. I'm your anime and let's go. Imagine dying as a hero, then waking up 1,000 years later to discover you've become a myth. Your battles are now legends. Your techniques are considered lost divine arts. And the weakest spell you ever cast is now powerful enough to destroy entire armies. This is the story of Ares Silvercrown, who saved the world, died for it, and then came back to find out he accidentally became a god. Before we dive into this absolute insanity, smash that like button if you love overpowered main characters, hit subscribe because we're doing more epic recaps like this every week, and drop a comment telling me what power you'd want if you reincarnated in the future. Now let's get into how one man's death became humanity's greatest legend. Ares Silvercrown is 28 years old when he dies, not in some peaceful way either. He's in the middle of the Demon King's throne room, his sword broken, his body torn apart by dark magic, bleeding out on obsidian floors. The Demon King stands above him, laughing, tells him his sacrifice means nothing, that even in death Ares has failed. But Ares smiles, because the Demon King doesn't know about the spell, the one Ares has been channeling for the last 3 hours of combat. Every wound he took, every drop of blood he spilled, all of it was fuel, preparation. The Demon King realizes too late. Ares speaks the final word of the incantation, and everything goes white. The explosion is visible from 3 kingdoms away. When the light fades, there's a crater a mile wide where the Demon King's castle used to be. And at the center, nothing. No demon, no king, no Ares, just glass and ash and silence. The world celebrates, builds monuments, writes songs. Ares Silvercrown, the hero who gave everything to save humanity. His companions, the other heroes who fought alongside him, they mourn. They bury his sword at the site of his final battle. They tell stories about him to their children, about how he could cast spells with one hand while fighting with the other, how he invented combination techniques no one else could replicate, how he once defeated an entire demon army by himself because they threatened a village of orphans. The stories spread. Generations pass, the companions die, their children die, their children's children die. 100 years, 200, 500. The world changes. Magic evolves. Technology advances. People forget the truth and remember only the legend. Ares becomes more than a man. He becomes a symbol, then a myth, then something close to a god. His techniques become holy scriptures. His casual battle tactics become divine wisdom. The simple training regimen he used to teach beginners becomes an advanced meditation practice that masters spend decades trying to perfect. And in all that time, in a sealed chamber beneath what used to be the Demon King's castle, a body sleeps, perfectly preserved, waiting. 1,000 years after his death, Ares Silvercrown opens his eyes. The first thing he notices is that he's naked. The second thing is that he's in some kind of glass container filled with liquid. The third thing is that there are people outside the container screaming. He punches through the glass because that seems like the obvious solution. The liquid spills out. He spills out with it, lands on cold metal floors, coughing and confused. There are 5 people in the room with him, all wearing white robes, all staring at him like he just materialized out of thin air, which, from their perspective, he kind of did. One of them, a young woman with silver hair and way too many earrings, drops to her knees, starts crying. The others follow. They're all on the ground now, foreheads pressed to the floor, sobbing and chanting something in a language Ares doesn't recognize. He tries to ask what's happening. They scream louder, not in fear, in joy, in religious ecstasy. This is going great. Ares stands there dripping magic fluid and confusion while these people worship him. He tries again to communicate. Speaks in the common tongue, the language everyone in his time knew. They don't understand. He tries the ancient language, the one scholars used. Nothing. He tries demon tongue just in case. One of them faints. Okay, bad idea. Finally, the silver-haired woman stands up, still crying, and touches her temple. There's a flash of light, and suddenly Ares can understand her. She's speaking a completely different language, but his brain is translating it in real time. Magic apparently has gotten weird. She tells him they've been searching for this chamber for 60 years, that finding the resting place of the divine hero Ares is the greatest archaeological discovery in history, that she's the lead researcher, and her name is Serena Faithborn, and she studied him her entire life, and please can she ask him questions? Ares is still trying to process the word divine. They give him clothes. Not normal clothes. Ceremonial robes made from something called mistweave that apparently costs more than a castle. He asks for regular pants. They look horrified, like he just asked to wear garbage. Serena explains very carefully that he's the Silvercrown, the first hero, the Godslayer. He can't just wear peasant clothes. Ares points out that he's not actually a god and would really just like some normal pants. This makes Serena cry again. He's so humble, she says, so perfectly divine in his humility. Ares gives up and wears the fancy robes. They're actually pretty comfortable. He could get used to this. They lead him out of the chamber, and that's when things get really weird. The chamber was underground, deep underground. They take an elevator up. Except it's not a mechanical elevator, it's a magic platform that shoots upward through solid rock using crystallized mana as fuel. Ares has no idea what crystallized mana is. In his time, you just used mana. You didn't crystallize it. The platform rises for what feels like 5 minutes and then breaks through into open air, and Ares sees the future. The city spreads out below him like nothing he's ever imagined. Buildings made of light and stone reach toward the clouds. Streets paved with something that glows softly in the afternoon sun. Flying vehicles that move without wings or visible magic. Just sleek metal shapes that glide through the air like fish through water. And above it all, floating islands. Actual chunks of land suspended in the sky, connected by bridges of pure solidified mana. Gardens and waterfalls and entire neighborhoods just hanging there in defiance of physics. Ares stares. His mouth is open. He knows his mouth is open. He can't close it. Serena stands next to him smiling. "Welcome," she says, "to New Asteria, capital of the United Human Kingdoms, home to 60 million people, built on the ruins of the old world he died to save. Oh, and also everyone here worships him." That last part she mentions casually. They take him to what Serena calls the Silvercrown Archive. It's a building the size of a mountain dedicated entirely to him. His life, his battles, his teachings. They've got his broken sword in a display case surrounded by barrier magic so powerful Ares can feel it from across the room. They've got paintings of him that look nothing like him. In every single one he's at least 7 feet tall, muscles like a god, perfect face, flowing hair, mysterious smile. Ares is 6 feet tall on a good day, built like a fighter, not a bodybuilder, and his face is pretty average. He tells Serena this. She nods solemnly and writes it down in a notebook like he just revealed sacred scripture. "Your divine humility knows no bounds," she says. He wants to scream. Instead, he asks about his companions, the other heroes who fought with him. Serena's face lights up. She practically runs to another section of the archive, and there they are. Not the actual people, obviously. They're very dead. But paintings, statues, entire rooms dedicated to each of them. Marcus the Shield, who could create barriers strong enough to stop dragonfire. Yuki the Shadow, who moved through darkness like she was part of it. Chen the Sage, who knew more about magic theory than anyone alive. And Arya the Phoenix, who could heal wounds that should have been fatal. All of them immortalized. All of them remembered. All of them worshipped almost as much as him. Serena explains how the religion works. After Ares died, his companions founded the Church of the Silvercrown. Not because they wanted to be worshipped, but because they needed a way to preserve his teachings. To make sure future generations remembered the techniques he developed, the strategies he used, the principles he lived by. It started small, a school for warriors, a library for scholars, but over centuries it grew, became institutionalized. The techniques became rituals, the strategies became commandments, the principles became divine law. And somewhere along the way, Ares the man became Ares the god. The church now has branches in every major city, millions of followers. Political power. Serena herself is a high priestess, which is apparently a big deal. She spent her whole life studying the ancient texts, learning the old language, trying to understand the true Ares behind the legend. And now he's standing right in front of her, asking for normal pants and proving he's nothing like the myth. She's never been happier. But here's the thing that Ares is starting to realize. The magic has changed. Not just aesthetically, fundamentally. In his time, magic was personal. You felt mana in your body, shaped it with your will, cast spells through practice and instinct. Now it's scientific, structured. People use focus crystals to channel mana, spell matrices to define effects, calculation engines to determine power output. It's all math and precision and artificial enhancement. And it's made people weak. Serena demonstrates by casting what she calls a Tier 5 fireball. It's the highest level of fire magic a normal mage can use, she explains proudly. It requires a focus crystal, a 3-layer spell matrix, and approximately 15 seconds of calculation time. She goes through the whole process, very carefully, and produces a fireball about the size of a basketball. It floats in the air, perfectly spherical, completely controlled. She launches it at a target, and it explodes with respectable force. Ares watches this and feels something between amusement and sadness. He holds out his hand and casts the same spell. No crystal, no matrix, no calculation, just will and instinct and muscle memory from 1,000 battles. The fireball appears instantly. It's 3 times the size of Serena's. He flicks it at a different target and the explosion shakes the building. The room goes silent. Serena is staring at him. The other researchers are staring at him. Someone in the back has fainted again. Different person this time. Ares asks if that was wrong. Serena laughs. It's a slightly unhinged laugh. She explains that what he just did should be impossible. Tier 5 magic without a focus. Crystal requires mana control so precise that only 1 in a million people can manage it. And he did it instantly, casually, like breathing. The spell matrix alone should take weeks to learn. He didn't use one, just shaped the mana directly. And the power output was 3 times higher than standard with no additional mana cost. He just revolutionized modern magic theory by existing. Ares shrugs. In his time, this was normal. Everyone could do this. Serena writes furiously in her notebook. Behind her, someone is definitely crying. This is his life now, apparently. They take him to meet the king. Not because Ares wants to meet the king, but because apparently when a legendary hero returns from the dead, protocol demands a royal audience. The king is a middle-aged man named Aldrich Goldthrone, and he looks exactly as excited about this meeting as Ares feels. They're both sitting in a conference room that's way too fancy, surrounded by advisors and guards and people whose job titles Ares doesn't understand. The king speaks first, very formally, says it's an honor to meet the divine hero, that his return is a blessing for the kingdom, that if there's anything Ares needs, anything at all, he only has to ask. Ares appreciates that the king is clearly reading from a script and hating every second of it. Makes him more relatable. Ares asks the question that's been bothering him since he woke up. Why did they wake him up? The room goes quiet. The advisors look at each other. The king sighs, puts down his script, and tells the truth. The demon king is back. Not the same one Ares killed. That one is very definitely dead. Destroyed so thoroughly that not even atoms remained. But demons are persistent. They're not really individual entities, the king explains. They're more like manifestations of concentrated negative energy from another dimension. Kill one demon king and eventually another one rises. It's been happening for thousands of years. Ares killed the 5th demon king. There have been 3 more since then. The 6th appeared 200 years after Ares died and was defeated by a coalition of heroes following the techniques preserved in the Silvercrown archive. The 7th came 300 years after that and was beaten the same way. The 8th showed up 150 years ago, and that's when things got complicated. Because the 8th demon king learned, adapted, started using strategies that countered all the classical techniques. The coalition of heroes barely won, took massive casualties, and now the 9th demon king has appeared, early, stronger than any predecessor, and the current generation of heroes is losing, badly. They've tried everything in the archive, every technique, every strategy, every battle plan that Ares supposedly taught. Nothing works. This demon king fights differently, thinks differently. It's like it studied human tactics and developed counter-tactics specifically designed to beat them, which is exactly what it did. The kingdom needs Ares, not as a symbol, not as a myth, but as an actual warrior. Someone who can adapt, who can create new techniques on the fly, who can fight with the instinct and creativity that made him legendary in the first place. Because that's what the archive doesn't teach. It preserves his techniques but not his thought process. His students learned what he did, not how he thought. And against an enemy that adapts and evolves, following old strategies is suicide. They need the man who invented those strategies. They need improvisation. They need Ares. The king looks exhausted just saying all this. Ares sits there processing. He saved the world once, died for it, and now, 1,000 years later, the world needs saving again. He should feel angry, cheated, used, but mostly he just feels tired. And then he thinks about all the people in this city, 60 million of them, living their lives, unaware that there's a demon king out there getting stronger every day. He thinks about Serena and her ridiculous faith in him, about the researchers who cried when he cast a simple spell, about a world that turned him into a god but still needs him to be human. He tells the king yes, he'll fight. The king looks relieved. The advisors start talking all at once about logistics and support and resources. Ares ignores them. He's already thinking about the demon king, already planning, already adapting. They assign him a military liaison. Her name is Captain Lyra Ironfist, and she hates him immediately. Not personally. She makes that clear. She just hates what he represents. The old way of doing things, relying on individual power instead of coordinated tactics. Magic as art instead of science. She spent her entire career modernizing the kingdom's military, implementing new strategies, training soldiers to fight as units using calculated, precise, efficient methods. And now here comes this relic from 1,000 years ago, who everyone expects to save them with ancient techniques and raw power. It goes against everything she believes in. Ares likes her instantly. Finally, someone who's not worshipping him. They're in a military briefing room looking at maps. Lyra is showing him the current state of the war. The 9th Demon King emerged 6 months ago in the Blightlands, the same region where Ares fought the 5th. Since then, it's been systematically conquering territory. Not randomly, strategically. It takes border towns first, cutting off supply lines, then regional capitals, destroying infrastructure. It's not trying to cause maximum damage. It's trying to cause maximum disruption, weaken the kingdoms before the final assault. Classical siege tactics, except sieges usually take years and this Demon King is moving way too fast. Lyra explains that they've sent 3 separate strike forces to take it down. All 3 failed. The first team consisted of the kingdom's 5 strongest heroes, all trained in Silvercrown techniques. They lasted 8 minutes. The Demon King killed 2 of them and sent the other 3 back with a message that the old ways are dead. That humanity's greatest hero died 1,000 years ago, and nothing remained but weak imitations. The second team tried a different approach. Overwhelming force. 200 soldiers, 50 mages. Coordinated assault. The Demon King wiped them out in 12 minutes using a spell that turned their own magic against them. Just reflected their attacks back amplified. It was a slaughter. The third attempt was an assassination. Small team, stealth specialists, going for a quick kill. The Demon King was waiting for them. It knew they were coming. Killed them before they got within 100 yards of it. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, no one's tried anything. They're waiting for Ares. No pressure. Ares studies the maps, asks questions. The Demon King's movement patterns, its battle tactics, the types of magic it uses. Lyra answers everything with military precision. She's good at her job. Really good. And she's frustrated because being good doesn't matter when the enemy is this strong. Ares points to a spot on the map. A valley between 2 mountains about 30 miles from the Demon King's current position. He asks if the terrain there is accurate. Lyra confirms it is. Ares nods. He tells her to assemble a strike team. 50 soldiers, 20 mages, 10 support personnel. All volunteers who understand they might die. Lyra stares at him, asks if he's serious. Another direct assault after 3 failures. Ares smiles, says no, not an assault. Bait. They're going to make the Demon King come to them. Lyra asks why the Demon King would do that. Ares tells her because he's going to challenge it personally, one-on-one. The Demon King won't be able to resist. Its entire identity is built on being stronger than the legendary hero. If Ares offers a duel, it'll show up. And when it does, they'll be ready. Not to fight fair, to fight smart. If you're already hooked on this insane comeback story and want to see how a 1,000-year-old hero adapts to modern warfare, smash that like button right now and make sure you're subscribed, because this battle is going to be absolutely legendary. Drop a comment telling me if you'd rather have Ares' raw power or modern precision magic. Now let's see how you fight a Demon King in the future. They spend 3 days preparing. Ares trains with the strike team, teaching them techniques that aren't in any archive. Not because they were secret, but because they were considered too basic to write down. Footwork drills, breathing exercises, how to channel mana while moving at full speed. The soldiers are confused at first. They expected advanced divine techniques, secret god-tier spells. Instead, they're doing what feels like beginner training. Ares explains that masters don't beat opponents with complexity. They beat them with fundamentals executed perfectly. A simple spell cast instantly will always beat a complex spell that takes time to calculate. Speed matters more than power. Adaptation matters more than planning. The soldiers start to understand. Lyra watches from the sidelines, taking notes. She's still skeptical, but she's professional enough to admit when something works. And this works. By day 3, the strike team is moving faster, hitting harder, wasting less energy. They're not as strong as Ares individually, but they're becoming efficient, dangerous, a real unit. Ares also spends time learning about modern magic. Serena becomes his teacher, which delights her to an almost uncomfortable degree. She shows him how focus crystals work. They're artificial mana batteries that store processed mana in crystalline form. Anyone can use them, even people with low natural mana capacity. It democratized magic, made it accessible to millions who couldn't have been mages in the old world, but it also made people dependent. Most modern mages can barely function without their crystals. Ares experiments with one. It feels wrong, like trying to paint while wearing thick gloves. The mana is there, but it's filtered, processed, sterilized. No personality, no life. He can use it if he has to, but he doesn't like it. Serena asks what mana felt like in his time. Ares tries to explain. It was wild, he says. Raw. You didn't store it. You breathed it. Pulled it from the air, from the ground, from your own life force. Every mage's magic felt different because it was literally part of them. Serena looks sad. She's never experienced that. No one alive has. Mana in the modern world is regulated, controlled by the global mana network. It's stable and safe and completely artificial. Ares asks if there's anywhere with wild mana left. Serena thinks, then says yes. The Blightlands, where the Demon King lives, where reality is too broken for the network to function, where magic works like it used to. Chaotic, dangerous, real. They also catch Ares up on history. 1,000 years is a long time. Kingdoms rose and fell. Technologies were invented and lost and reinvented. There were golden ages and dark ages, and ages no one wants to talk about. About 300 years ago, humanity almost went extinct. Not from demons, from themselves. The Great Mana War. Every kingdom fighting over control of mana sources. Weapons that made Ares' final explosion look like a firecracker. Entire regions rendered uninhabitable. The population dropped from billions to millions. That's why the United Human Kingdoms exist now. After the war, the survivors realized that fighting each other was suicide. They needed unity. They needed cooperation. So they created a federation. Not one kingdom, but 7 major nations working together. Sharing resources, sharing knowledge, sharing responsibility. It's not perfect. There's still politics and corruption and power struggles. But it's kept humanity alive, kept them growing, kept them strong enough that when demon kings appear, they can fight back. Usually. This time is different. This time they're losing, and everyone knows it. The day of the duel arrives. The strike team moves into position in the valley. They've spent the last 2 days setting up, not obvious traps. The Demon King would spot those. Subtle ones. Weak points in the terrain that can be exploited. Pre-positioned mana batteries that can be detonated remotely. Escape routes and fallback positions and contingencies for contingencies. Lyra's work. She's a brilliant tactician. Ares is starting to understand why the king put her in charge. She doesn't just plan for success. She plans for failure and then plans how to turn failure into success. It's beautiful. Meanwhile, Ares stands in the center of the valley alone. He's wearing combat armor, not the ceremonial robes. Real armor. Light, flexible, enchanted with protective spells that Serena assured him are top tier. He's also carrying a sword, not his original. That one's still in the archive, broken and holy. This is a new blade, forged specifically for him using techniques from his era combined with modern materials. It's probably the sharpest sword ever made. He's named it Godbreaker. Seemed appropriate. The Demon King arrives exactly on time. It doesn't teleport or make a dramatic entrance. Just walks into the valley from the north like it's taking a stroll. Ares gets his first good look at it and immediately understands why everyone's terrified. The 5th Demon King, the one he killed, was massive. 15 feet tall, all muscle and rage and dark magic. A brute. This one is human-sized. 6 feet tall, slender, almost delicate. It looks like a young man with silver hair and red eyes, wearing black armor that seems to absorb light. But the eyes are wrong. Too bright, too aware. too hungry. It stops about 50 feet away from Ares and smiles. The smile is worse than any monster face. It's knowing, amused, like it's in on a joke that Ares hasn't figured out yet. It speaks and its voice sounds human, too human. Says it's an honor to finally meet the legendary Silvercrown, the hero who killed its great-great-great-grandfather. It's been waiting for this moment, studying, preparing. It knows everything about Ares, every technique, every strategy, every battle he ever fought. The archives were very thorough. Ares draws his sword, tells the Demon King it talks too much. The Demon King laughs, says that's exactly what the record said he'd say. Proves its point. It's been studying him so completely that it can predict his responses, know his moves before he makes them. It asks if Ares realizes how thoroughly he's been analyzed. Every documented fight broken down and simulated. Every technique tested and countered. The humans worship him, but they also archived him, made him predictable, static. A god can't evolve, can't adapt, can only repeat what it's already done. And repetition, the Demon King says, is death. It's not wrong. Ares knows it's not wrong. The archive was meant to preserve his legacy, but it also trapped him, turned his living, breathing combat style into a fixed set of techniques that can be studied and countered. But here's what the Demon King doesn't know. Here's what the archive never captured. Ares Silvercrown was never great because of his techniques. He was great because he invented new ones. Every fight, every battle, he adapted constantly, created solutions on the fly. The techniques in the archive aren't his greatest hits. They're just the ones people happen to write down. The real Ares doesn't repeat. He evolves. The fight starts without warning. The Demon King moves first, crossing 50 feet in less than a second. It's fast. Faster than anything Ares fought in his era. Its sword appears from nowhere, black blade aimed at his throat. Ares blocks. The impact sends shockwaves through the valley. The Demon King follows up with a spell. Dark magic that manifests as chains trying to bind Ares in place. Ares burns through them with fire magic and counters with a lightning strike. The Demon King dodges. Not barely. Easily. Like it knew exactly where the lightning would hit before Ares even cast it. It probably did. Ares' lightning technique is in the archive. Documented. Predictable. The Demon King attacks again. Sword and magic working in perfect synchronization. Every strike is precise. Every spell is optimized. It's fighting like a machine. Perfect execution. Zero wasted movement. And it's winning. Ares is being pushed back. Not dramatically, not obviously, but incrementally. The Demon King is faster, stronger, more efficient. It's everything modern magic is supposed to be. Calculated, precise, overwhelming. Ares lets himself get pushed back. Lets the Demon King think it's winning. Because he's not fighting to win yet. He's fighting to learn. Every exchange teaches him something. The Demon King's timing. Its preferred attack patterns. The microsecond delay between casting a spell and executing it. Everyone has patterns. Even demons. Especially demons who rely on prediction and preparation. They're creatures of habit by nature. The Demon King has studied Ares. But Ares is studying it right back. And he's better at it. After 2 minutes of combat, Ares has seen enough. He stops retreating, plants his feet. The Demon King comes in for what should be a killing blow. Ares lets the sword come within an inch of his neck. Then he does something that's not in any archive. He channels mana directly into the air between them and detonates it. Not a spell, just raw mana forced to explode. It's wasteful and inefficient, and no modern mage would ever do it because it costs 3 times more energy than a proper explosion spell. But it's also instant. No casting time, no matrix, no warning. The blast catches the Demon King completely off guard, throws it back 30 feet. The Demon King lands hard, stands up. There's confusion in its eyes now. That wasn't in the archive. That wasn't a technique. That was just brute force manipulation of mana physics. Stupid. Wasteful. It shouldn't work. But it did. Ares smiles. Tells the Demon King that's the problem with studying. Study only teaches you what already happened. Doesn't teach you what comes next. The Demon King snarls. Drops the human facade. Its form shifts, grows. The slender figure bulks up into something more demonic. Armor becomes scales. Hands become claws. It's done playing. Ares is thrilled. Finally, a real fight. The Demon King charges. Ares meets it head-on. They clash in the center of the valley, and the impact cracks the ground. The strike team watching from concealment feels the shockwave from half a mile away. Lyra checks her instruments. The mana readings are off the charts. Both combatants are outputting power levels that should require industrial-grade focus crystals. Ares is doing it naturally. The Demon King is doing it because it's a demon. They're both absolute monsters. The fight escalates. They're moving too fast for normal eyes to track. Sword strikes that break the sound barrier. Spells that tear holes in reality. The valley is being systematically destroyed. Ares is having the time of his afterlife. This is what he missed. Not the violence, the challenge. Fighting something that can actually keep up with him. Something that pushes him to be better. He cycles through techniques, some from his era, some he invents in the moment. Fire magic combined with wind to create a vortex. Earth magic to shift the ground under the Demon King's feet. Water magic to reduce friction on his own movements. He's not following any playbook. He's improvising, and the Demon King is struggling. It adapted to fight the archive version of Ares, the predictable version. This version is chaos. Every time it thinks it has him figured out, he does something new, something impossible, something that shouldn't work, but does, because Ares doesn't care about rules. He cares about results. But the Demon King is adapting too. That's what makes it dangerous. It's learning in real time. Every new technique Ares uses, the Demon King analyzes and develops a counter. When Ares combines fire and wind, the Demon King uses water to dampen both. When Ares shifts the earth, the Demon King levitates. When Ares reduces friction, the Demon King increases its own weight to compensate. They're locked in an evolutionary arms race, each one forcing the other to evolve, to adapt, to become better. And the Demon King is starting to smile again, because this is what it wanted. Not an easy victory, a proving ground, a chance to demonstrate that it's superior not just to modern humans, but to the legendary hero himself. It tells Ares this between sword strikes, says that humanity's greatest champion is already losing, already falling behind, that in another minute, maybe two, it'll have adapted completely, and then Ares dies. For real this time. Ares doesn't disagree. He can feel it. The Demon King is getting faster, more precise. Its counters are becoming preemptive. Soon it won't be reacting to his techniques. It'll be predicting them. And when that happens, he loses. So he needs to end this now. He disengages, jumps back 50 feet. The Demon King lets him. Confident, amused. Ares stabs his sword into the ground, holds both hands out to his sides, starts channeling mana, not for a spell, for something bigger. The air around him starts to glow, bright white light that gets brighter every second. The Demon King recognizes this. It's in the archive, the final technique Ares used to kill the fifth Demon King. Self-detonation. Channel all your mana, all your life force, everything you are, and release it in one massive explosion. It's suicide, but it guarantees the target dies too. The Demon King laughs, tells Ares he's desperate, that it won't work, that it knows this technique inside and out. It's already moving, already casting defensive barriers, layers of dark magic designed to absorb the blast. It's confident, it's prepared, it's wrong, because Ares isn't actually self-detonating. He's faking it. The light is real, the mana buildup is real, but he's not channeling his life force. He's channeling the pre-positioned mana batteries that Lyra's team buried throughout the valley, remotely accessing them through resonance with his own mana signature, pulling their energy into himself like a vacuum. The Demon King doesn't realize this because it's not possible with modern magic. You can't remotely access sealed mana batteries without a network connection. But wild mana doesn't follow those rules. And Ares learned decades ago how to pull ambient mana from his surroundings. This is just a scaled-up version of that. He's not sacrificing himself. He's borrowing power. The light reaches critical mass. The Demon King's barriers are fully deployed. It's ready for a massive explosion. Ares releases the energy, not as an explosion, as a directed beam. All that power focused into a single point, aimed not at the Demon King but at the ground beneath it. The beam punches through the earth like it's made of paper, hits the underground lake that Lyra's geological surveys found 3 days ago, superheats the water instantly. The resulting steam explosion erupts from beneath the Demon King with enough force to launch it 100 feet into the air. No barriers below. It didn't expect an attack from underground. The Demon King is airborne, disoriented, vulnerable. And that's when the strike team hits it. 20 mages firing simultaneously, not at the Demon King, at the air around it. Spatial magic, freezing space itself. The Demon King can't move, can't dodge, can't defend. Ares pulls his sword from the ground, channels the last of the borrowed mana into the blade. Godbreaker starts to vibrate. The metal screams. He jumps, 50 feet straight up, meets the Demon King in midair. Their eyes lock. The Demon King understands now. It wasn't a duel. It was a setup. The whole fight was just to position it exactly where Ares needed it. Over the lake, over the trap. It tries to speak. Ares doesn't let it. He drives Godbreaker through its chest, through its core, where Demon Kings keep their essence. The sword goes all the way through, out the back. The Demon King gasps. The spatial freeze breaks. They both start falling. Ares twists the blade, channels mana directly into the wound, not to destroy the demon, to seal it. They hit the ground together. Ares rolls away, comes up in a crouch. The Demon King is still standing somehow. There's a sword through its chest and it's still standing. It looks down at the blade, then at Ares. It laughs, wet and broken but still amused. Tells him that sealing won't work, that Demon Kings can't be sealed, that the last time anyone tried was 800 years ago and the demon broke free in 6 months. Ares nods, says he knows. That's why he's not sealing it here. The runes carved into Godbreaker start to glow. The Demon King looks confused, then terrified. It recognizes the rune pattern. Dimensional banishment. Ares is sending it somewhere else, somewhere far away. Not killing it, not sealing it, exiling it. To a dimension where magic works differently, where it'll have to adapt all over again, where it'll be weak, vulnerable, lost. The Demon King tries to pull the sword out. Can't. The spell is already activating. Reality tears open behind it. A portal to somewhere else, somewhere wrong. The Demon King screams, not in pain, in rage, in denial. It claws at the ground as the portal pulls it in, tells Ares this isn't over, that it'll find a way back, that it'll adapt to the new dimension and return stronger. Ares says he's counting on it, gives it something to motivate. The Demon King gets pulled through. The portal closes. Godbreaker clatters to the ground, empty, silent. The 9th Demon King is gone. The valley is quiet. Ares stands there breathing hard. Everything hurts. He channeled way too much mana, pushed his body past limits that probably shouldn't be pushed. He's pretty sure he cracked several ribs, maybe broke one. His right arm isn't working properly. There might be internal bleeding, but he's alive, and he won. The strike team emerges from concealment. They're cheering, screaming. Lyra is trying to maintain discipline, but even she's smiling. They did it. They actually did it. Defeated a Demon King using tactics, terrain, and teamwork. Ares sits down heavily, tells them they did well. Lyra approaches, offers him a hand up. He takes it. She tells him that was the most insane battle plan she's ever seen, using himself as bait, faking his ultimate technique, dimensional banishment instead of destruction. It worked perfectly, and it was completely suicidal. If any single part had failed, he'd be dead. Ares shrugs, says that's how he's always fought. Calculate the risks. Take them anyway. Trust the people around him to pull through. Lyra shakes her head, says he's either brilliant or insane. Probably both. Ares says it's definitely both. They return to New Asteria as heroes. There's a parade. Ares hates it. Thousands of people lining the streets, cheering, crying, throwing flowers. The king gives a speech about how the legendary Silvercrown has saved humanity once again. How his divine power proved superior to demonic evil. How his return marks a new golden age. Ares stands on the balcony next to the king wearing those ceremonial robes he hates, and waves to the crowd because apparently that's his job now. Serena is crying again. Happy tears this time. She tells him he's magnificent, that he's everything the legend said and more, that the church will need to update all their texts to include this new victory. Ares asks her to please not make this a bigger deal than it is. She laughs like he made a joke. He didn't. Later in private, Lyra gives him the actual debrief. The Demon King is gone but not dead. It's in a hostile dimension, but it's not destroyed. Eventually it'll adapt. Eventually it'll find a way back. Could be years, could be decades, could be centuries. But it'll return, and when it does, it'll be angry. Ares says good, gives humanity time to prepare, time to train, time to get stronger. Lyra asks if he'll still be around when it returns. Ares says honestly, He has no idea. Didn't plan on being around now? That's when the real problem starts. Ares is alive. Ares is proven powerful. And Ares is now a political asset that everyone wants to control. The church wants him to become their official figurehead, lead services, legitimize their authority. The military wants him to train soldiers, share his techniques, create a new generation of warriors. The king wants him as an advisor, a symbol of unity, someone whose presence alone can stabilize the kingdom. Merchants want to use his image for products. Nobles want him at their parties. Everyone wants a piece of him, and Ares wants none of it. He didn't come back to be a mascot. He came back because the world needed saving. The world is saved. Now he just wants to figure out what to do with a second life he never asked for. Serena understands. She's been studying him long enough to know how he thinks. She suggests he travel, see the world, see how it's changed. No obligations, no schedules, just exploration. Learn about the future on his own terms. Ares likes this idea, tells the king he's taking a sabbatical. The king doesn't love it but can't really say no. You don't order around a legendary hero who just saved your kingdom. Ares packs light, takes Godbreaker, wears normal clothes finally, and leaves New Asteria at dawn before anyone can throw another parade. His first stop is the ruins of his old hometown, the village where he grew up. It doesn't exist anymore. Not as a village anyway. It's a park now. Silvercrown Memorial Gardens. There are statues of him at different ages. A child training with a wooden sword, a teenager casting his first spell, an adult standing heroically with a flowing cape that he never actually wore. There are plaques with quotes he never said, benches where old people sit and tell stories about him that aren't accurate. It's surreal. His childhood home is marked with a sign, birthplace of the divine hero. Inside, it's been converted into a museum. His bedroom is preserved behind glass, except it's not really his bedroom. The bed is too big. The desk is too neat. There are books he never read and weapons he never used. They recreated what they thought his room should look like based on what a hero's childhood bedroom would be, not what it actually was, which was small and messy and filled with failed experiments. Ares sits on a bench in the park and eats an apple, watches children play near his statue. They're happy, safe, living in a world that he helped create by dying. That's worth something, even if they got all the details wrong. He travels east, visits the old battlefield where he fought the 5th Demon King. It's a tourist attraction now. The crater is still there, massive and perfectly circular, but it's been developed. There are viewing platforms and information kiosks and a gift shop. You can buy commemorative replica swords and t-shirts that say, "I visited the Silvercrown crater and all I got was this divine merchandise." Ares buys one, wears it ironically. A tour guide is explaining to a group what happened here. Gets about 60% of it wrong. Says Ares fought for 3 days straight before using his ultimate technique. It was actually 3 hours. Says he killed 10,000 demons along with the Demon King. It was more like 300. Says his final words were a prayer for humanity's future. He didn't have final words, he was too busy trying not to die. The guide sees Ares and asks if he wants to join the tour. Ares says no thanks. He's heard this story before. The guide laughs, says everyone has. It's the most famous battle in history. Ares agrees and walks away. He visits the graves of his old companions. They're in a place called Heroes' Rest. It's beautiful, peaceful. Each of them has a massive monument. Marcus the Shield has a statue showing him blocking an impossible attack. Yuki the Shadow has a graceful sculpture of her mid-strike. Chen the Sage has a depiction of him reading from a book of magic. Arya the Phoenix has wings of crystallized mana spreading out behind her. They all look heroic and perfect and nothing like the actual people. Ares sits by Marcus's grave, talks to him like he's still there, tells him about the future, about flying cities and magic crystals and demon kings that learn, about how the world got weird but also kind of amazing, about how their sacrifice mattered. The world they saved is still here, still thriving, still worth protecting. He stays there until sunset, says goodbye to people who've been dead for 900 years, feels old. Not physically, his body is still 28, but inside where it counts, he's over 1,000 years old. He's outlived everyone he ever knew, everyone he ever loved. That's a special kind of lonely. He keeps traveling, visits the floating islands. They're incredible up close. Entire ecosystems suspended in the sky through permanent enchantment. Gardens that have been growing for 3 centuries. Waterfalls that fall upward. He visits underground cities built in the caverns left by ancient mining operations, populations of millions living entirely below ground, using bioluminescent plants for light. He visits coastal cities where buildings are grown from coral using biomagic, sees whales the size of islands that have been domesticated and turned into living ships, visits the great libraries where they're still trying to recover knowledge lost in the Mana War, meets scholars who've spent their entire lives trying to translate a single book from the old world. He helps them, tells them what the words mean. They cry and thank him, and immediately start arguing about interpretations. He visits the Mana Springs, places where wild mana still flows free. Feels like home, like breathing air that actually has flavor. He spends a week at one just sitting and remembering what magic used to feel like. Real quick before we get to the epic conclusion, if you've been hooked on Ares' journey through the future, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed, because we've got more amazing anime recaps coming every week. Drop a comment telling me what you'd do if you woke up 1,000 years in the future. Now let's see how this legendary story ends. He also starts teaching. Not officially, not as the divine hero Ares Silvercrown, just as a traveler who knows some things. He stops in small towns, finds local dojos or training halls, offers to spar. The instructors usually accept, thinking they'll humor the stranger. Then they get completely destroyed. Ares doesn't humiliate them, just shows them different approaches, ways to channel mana more efficiently, how to read an opponent's movement, how to adapt mid-fight. Word spreads slowly. Small towns start to expect him, look forward to his visits. He develops a reputation as the wandering master. No one connects him to the legendary Silvercrown. He's just some really skilled fighter who travels and teaches and refuses payment. He likes it better this way. Gets to actually help people without the weight of expectations, without worship, just honest teaching and honest learning. During his travels, he hears rumors about something called the Borderlands, regions near dimensional rifts where reality gets unstable, where things from other worlds sometimes cross over. They're dangerous, heavily restricted. Only licensed explorers are allowed in. Naturally, Ares goes anyway. He wants to see what dimensional instability looks like, how it compares to the demon dimension he banished the Ninth King to. He crosses the border at night. No one stops him. Inside, the world is beautiful and terrifying. The sky has multiple colors. Gravity changes direction every few hundred yards. Plants grow in impossible geometries. He sees creatures that aren't from his dimension. Some are harmless. Some are very much not. He fights a few, studies them. They use magic differently. Their biology is different. It's fascinating. He spends a month in the Borderlands just exploring, mapping, learning. When he finally comes back, there's a warrant out for his arrest. Unauthorized entry into restricted zones. He turns himself in. The magistrate who's supposed to charge him takes one look and nearly faints. The wandering master is the Silvercrown. The Silvercrown violated about 15 laws. What do you even do with that? They settle on a fine. Ares pays it. The magistrate very politely asks him to not break any more laws. Ares says he'll try. The magistrate knows that means no. He returns to New Asteria after 2 years of traveling. The city has changed, grown. There are new buildings and new technologies and new problems. Lyra is now a general. She's reformed the entire military structure based on principles from their battle with the Demon King. Less reliance on individual power, more emphasis on tactics and teamwork. It's working. The army is smaller but more effective. She's glad to see him. Tells him the kingdom's been boring without him. Ares doubts that. Serena is now the head of the church. She's been reforming it too. Less dogma, more practical teaching. She's opened schools that teach actual combat techniques instead of just religious theory, training the next generation not to worship heroes but to become them. She shows Ares the new curriculum. He's impressed. This is what he wanted. Not people following his path exactly. People learning to make their own paths. The king has died. Old age. His daughter rules now. Queen Meredith Goldthrone. She's young, 25, smart, politically skilled, and she doesn't worship Ares, respects him, but doesn't worship him. He likes her immediately. The queen asks Ares what his plans are. He says honestly, he doesn't know. Didn't plan on living this long. Twice. The queen says the kingdom could use him, not as a figurehead, as an advisor, someone who remembers how things used to be, who can provide perspective that no one else has. Ares asks what she wants advice on. The queen says everything: how to maintain peace between the 7 kingdoms, how to prepare for the next demon king, how to handle the social changes that new technologies bring, how to preserve important traditions while still evolving, how to be a leader worth following. Ares says those are big questions. The queen says that's why she's asking him. Ares thinks about it, about spending his second life in politics and bureaucracy. It sounds terrible, but also important. Someone needs to remember the past while building the future, and he's uniquely qualified. He tells the queen he'll do it, part-time. He's not giving up traveling, but he'll be an advisor when she needs one. The queen accepts. They shake hands. It's the beginning of something new. Years pass. Ares splits his time between New Asteria and the road. When he's in the capital, he advises the queen on policy and strategy, teaches at Serena's schools, helps Lyra develop new training methods. When he's traveling, he explores and learns and teaches and grows. He's found a balance, a purpose. He's not trying to be the hero from the legends. He's trying to be himself, 1,000 years older, a little bit wiser, still figuring things out. He makes friends, real friends, not worshippers, people who see him as Ares the person, not Ares the god. He trains students who become teachers who train more students. His techniques spread not as holy doctrine, but as practical knowledge, open source heroism. One day he's in the archive, looking at his old sword, the broken one. Godbreaker sits on his hip now, his new blade, his current weapon. But the old sword represents something, his past, his sacrifice, his death. Serena finds him there, asks what he's thinking. Ares says he's thinking about how strange it is. He died to save the world, and in dying became more powerful than he ever was alive. Not physically, symbolically. Dead Ares inspired millions, changed history, became a foundation for an entire religion and culture. Living Ares is just a guy who's good at fighting. Serena says that's not true. Living Ares is teaching people to think for themselves, to adapt, to create. Dead Ares gave them hope. Living Ares is giving them tools. Both matter. Both are needed. Ares asks which one is more important. Serena smiles, says that's the wrong question. They're not competing. They're complementary. The legend inspires. The reality teaches. Together, they're stronger than either could be alone. Ares thinks about that. About being both symbol and person, god and human, legend and teacher. It's a weird existence, but it's his existence, and he's making peace with it. He asks Serena if she still believes in the divine Silvercrown, the one from the legends. The perfect hero, she says yes, but she also believes in the real Ares, the one who complains about fancy clothes and makes terrible jokes and gets fined for breaking into restricted zones. Both versions are real. Both versions matter. The divine one gives people something to aspire to. The human one shows them aspiration is actually achievable. Ares says that's a very diplomatic answer. Serena says she's the head of the church. Diplomacy is kind of her thing. They laugh. It's comfortable, easy, the kind of friendship that takes time to build but lasts forever. More years pass. Ares watches the world evolve. New technologies emerge. Magic and science blend in ways he never imagined. They develop spellcasting computers, artificial intelligence that can learn and adapt magic techniques, synthetic mana that's more efficient than natural, medical magic that can cure diseases thought incurable, transportation systems that move entire cities, communication networks that let people on opposite sides of the world talk in real time. It's a golden age. Humanity is flourishing, and Ares helped make it possible, not by being perfect, by being present, by surviving long enough to guide people toward better solutions, by teaching them to think instead of just follow. He's in the palace one evening when alarms go off. Dimensional rift detected, large scale, growing rapidly. Location, the Blightlands, the 9th Demon King's old territory. Ares' blood goes cold. He knows what this is. The Demon King is back, found a way to return from banishment, adapted to the hostile dimension, learned how to traverse realities, came back stronger, just like it promised. Lyra is already mobilizing forces. Serena is coordinating civilian evacuation. The Queen is on communication with the other kingdoms. Everyone is moving with practiced efficiency. They've been preparing for this. War games and scenarios and contingency plans. Ares watches them work and feels proud. They don't need him to save them. They can save themselves, but they'll do it better with his help. He straps on Godbreaker, tells Lyra he's coming with the first wave. She doesn't argue, just adds him to the roster. They move out within the hour. The rift is massive, a tear in reality 3 miles wide. And through it, the 9th Demon King emerges. It's changed, evolved. Its form is different, more abstract, less physical. It's adapted to multiple dimensions now, can shift between states of matter, can manipulate reality itself. It's not just stronger, it's fundamentally different, more dangerous. The strike force hits it with everything: advanced weapons, coordinated magic, tactical precision. The Demon King counters effortlessly. It's learned from last time, studied them, predicted their tactics. It's not just adapted to Ares, it's adapted to humanity's entire modern military doctrine. Soldiers fall, mages exhaust their mana. The strike force is being systematically dismantled. Lyra calls for retreat. They need to regroup, reassess. The Demon King doesn't let them, cuts off escape routes. It's not here to conquer, it's here to prove a point. That adaptation beats power, that evolution beats tradition, that it's superior to everything humanity can produce. Ares steps forward, tells Lyra to get everyone out. He'll hold the Demon King off. Lyra starts to argue. Ares gives her a look. She knows that look. It's the same one he gave her before the valley ambush. Trust me. She orders the retreat. The strike force pulls back. It's just Ares and the Demon King now. Again, the Demon King laughs, says this is familiar, says it's been looking forward to this, to proving that it's grown beyond him, that while he was playing teacher and politician, it was evolving, becoming something new, something unstoppable. Ares draws Godbreaker, says the Demon King is right. It has evolved, become something impressive, something dangerous, but it made one critical mistake. It assumed Ares stayed the same. The Demon King pauses, looks uncertain for the first time. Ares smiles and shows it how wrong it is. The fight that follows isn't like their first battle. Ares isn't improvising anymore. He's not discovering techniques mid-combat. He's applying everything he's learned in years of travel and teaching and exploration. Techniques from other dimensions, magic systems from the borderlands, combination spells he developed with students, tactical approaches he learned from Lyra. He's not the Ares from 1,000 years ago. He's not even the Ares who fought in the valley. He's something new, something evolved. The Demon King realizes this, realizes it's not fighting a relic. It's fighting an active, evolving opponent who's been growing the entire time it was gone. And for the first time, the Demon King feels fear, because Ares isn't trying to kill it. He's trying to teach it. Every strike is a lesson, every spell is a demonstration. He's showing the Demon King that evolution isn't about raw power. It's about adaptation. It's about learning from every fight, growing from every challenge, becoming better, not just stronger. The Demon King fights desperately, throws everything it has: reality warping, dimensional shifting, attacks from multiple states of existence simultaneously. Ares counters all of it. Not perfectly. He takes damage, serious damage, but he adapts faster than the Demon King can evolve, because he's been doing this for over 1,000 years. The Demon King has decades, centuries maybe. Ares has millennia of combined experience. Original life plus reincarnated life. He's the ultimate veteran, and he's going to win. Not because he's stronger, because he's smarter, more experienced, more adaptable. The Demon King makes its final move, channels everything into one massive attack, reality-destroying power. If this hits, the entire region ceases to exist. Ares doesn't dodge, doesn't block. He absorbs it, pulls the attack into himself using a technique he learned in the borderlands, converts hostile energy into personal mana. It's incredibly dangerous. Could kill him if he miscalculates. He doesn't miscalculate. The attack is absorbed, converted, and redirected back at the Demon King amplified. The Demon King has no defense, can't dodge, can't counter, takes its own attack multiplied by 10. The dimensional form shatters. It collapses back into physical reality, falls to its knees, dying. Actually dying this time. Ares stands over it, Godbreaker ready. The Demon King looks up at him, asks why. Why is he so much stronger? Ares says it's not about strength, It's about purpose. The Demon King evolved to prove superiority. Ares evolved to protect people, to teach them, to make them better. Purpose drives adaptation, and protecting others is the strongest purpose there is. The Demon King laughs, bitter, defeated, says that's unfair, that heroes shouldn't be that powerful. Ares says that's exactly why they are, because they fight for something bigger than themselves. The Demon King's form starts to dissipate. Before it fades completely, it tells Ares there will be others. A 10th Demon King, an 11th. They keep coming, forever. Ares says he knows, and humanity will keep fighting, forever, because that's what they do. They endure, they adapt, they survive. The Demon King fades completely. The rift starts to close. The 9th Demon King is gone. For real this time. Ares collapses. The damage catches up with him. Lyra's team rushes in. Medics start working. He's hurt badly, but he'll survive. He always survives. That's kind of his thing. They get him back to New Asteria. Recovery takes weeks. When he wakes up, Serena is there. She tells him the world is celebrating. The Demon King is defeated. The rift is sealed. Casualties were minimal thanks to his sacrifice. He's a hero again. Ares groans, says he didn't do it to be a hero. Did it because someone had to. Serena says that's what makes him a hero. Doing what needs to be done without expecting reward. Ares says that's just basic decency. Serena says basic decency is rarer than it should be, especially when it involves fighting dimensional horrors. Ares concedes the point. The Queen visits, thanks him personally, asks if he'll continue as an advisor. Ares says yes. Someone needs to help prepare for the 10th Demon King. The Queen says that might not be for centuries. Ares says that's fine. He's got time. The Queen asks if he ever gets tired of fighting, of teaching, of living while everyone around him ages and dies. Ares thinks about it, says yes. Sometimes. But then he remembers why he does it. Remembers the students who learn and grow. The people who build better lives. The world that keeps improving. And it's worth it. All of it. The Queen says he's remarkable. Ares says he's just stubborn. Refuses to quit. The Queen says maybe that's the same thing. Ares says maybe it is. Years turn into decades. Decades turn into centuries. Ares keeps living, keeps teaching, keeps adapting. The world changes around him. New technologies, new magics, new generations. He watches students become teachers, become legends. Watches kingdoms rise and evolve and merge. Watches humanity spread to other dimensions, become a multiversal species. And through it all, he remains, not unchanging, always evolving, always learning, always growing. He's not the hero from the legends anymore. He's something better. He's the teacher who creates heroes, the advisor who guides civilizations, the veteran who remembers the past while building the future. The 10th Demon King appears after 300 years. Ares and the new generation of heroes defeat it together. The 11th comes 200 years after that. Same result. The 12th, the 13th, each one different, each one challenging, each one defeated not by one legendary hero but by humanity working together, adapting, evolving, growing stronger. Ares becomes less important as a fighter and more important as a teacher. He trains the defenders, advises the strategists, preserves the knowledge, passes it forward. He's not the sword anymore. He's the hand that guides the sword. He's sitting in a garden one day, 500 years after his reincarnation. An old student finds him. Not old in age. Old as in from decades ago. She's a general now. Leads the interdimensional defense force. She asks him if he ever regrets it. Coming back. Living this long. Watching everyone he cares about eventually die. Ares says sometimes, but mostly no. Because every generation brings new people worth caring about. New friends, new students, new reasons to keep going. She asks if he thinks he'll ever truly die. Ares says probably not. His body doesn't age anymore. Too much mana. Too many resurrection protocols built into his cells from centuries of channeling. He's effectively immortal, unless something kills him. And nothing has managed that yet. She asks what he'll do for eternity. Ares says the same thing he's been doing. Teaching, learning, protecting, evolving, forever. She says that sounds lonely. Ares says it is. Sometimes. But it's also full, rich, meaningful. He's watched humanity go from medieval kingdoms to multiversal civilizations. Seen them grow, evolve, become something beautiful, something worth protecting. That's not lonely, that's purpose. The sun sets. The garden glows in the fading light. Ares sits and watches the city below. Flying vehicles and floating islands and buildings that touch the sky. A world he died for. A world he lived for. A world he helped create by refusing to give up. By adapting. By evolving. By teaching others to do the same. He thinks about the young man he was. The hero who fought demons with a sword and determination. About the legend he became. The god that people worshipped. And about who he is now. Something between man and myth. Mortal and immortal. Teacher and student. Forever learning. Forever growing. Forever protecting the world he loves. And somewhere in another dimension, the 14th Demon King is forming. Learning from its predecessors. Adapting. Evolving. Preparing to challenge humanity once again. Ares smiles. He's ready. He's always ready. Because that's what he does. What he's always done. He endures. He adapts. He survives. And he teaches the next generation to do the same. The cycle continues. Demons rise. Heroes fight. Humanity evolves. And through it all, Ares Silvercrown remains. Not as a god, not as a legend, but as a teacher, a guide, a veteran who remembers that the greatest power isn't strength or magic or immortality. It's the choice to keep fighting, keep learning, keep growing, no matter how long it takes, no matter how hard it gets. That's the real divine technique, the one that never makes it into the archives, the simple, stubborn refusal to quit. And Ares Silvercrown, the hero who died and became a god, has perfected it.